An Iowa town that once stood as an exception to the racial divide is almost totally gone, but the work continues to keep its memory alive. Buxton is in Monroe County and was a thriving coal town where black and white families lived and worked together in the early 1900s. But when the mine shut down, the town disappeared. All that's left now are faint foundations of a once thriving history. Iowa's News Now's investigative reporter Nicole Hodge takes us there in tonight's special report.
No roads lead to Buxton anymore, but this place once held thousands of lives. Stories now returned back to the land. In rural Iowa, these wide open fields were once home to a unique, fully integrated coal town, established by the Consolidation Coal Company around 1900, where black people, primarily brought in as strikebreakers, and white people, primarily from Europe, lived side by side. This is what it looked like over 100 years ago. Today, foundations and memories are all that remain.
This was the school. This is the Slovak church. This was the company store. That is the warehouse right there. Yeah, this building is right here. Time has kind of been pretty tough on some of it. I was born in that house. My maternal grandparents lived there. And I have the papers where they came from Sweden in 1904, I believe. And on the papers, it says so much for passage from Stockholm, Sweden to Buxton, Iowa.
What made this town different? Buxton defied the norms of segregation. Here, African Americans and European immigrants alike found opportunity, something unheard of in early 1900s America.
You had black and white students going to the same schools. You had them being taught by black and white teachers.
You did have 40 to 55% of the population being black. And the fact that they were doctors, lawyers, dentists, business owners, they owned real estate, in addition to being miners. All these things that were not the norm for a coal mining town, that's unique.
That is a time period in our history between Reconstruction and World War II that was actually the lowest point for racial relations in the United States. So African Americans were facing a lot of violence, a lot of segregation in other areas of the country. So to have the opportunity to come to Buxton to work, it was kind of what a lot of people call, quote unquote, the black man's utopia.
Even the Ku Klux Klan stayed out. Residents say it was the Consolidation Coal Company's profitable business and its refusal to tolerate racial trouble that protected Buxton from the worst of Jim Crow.
Numerous residents did talk about there being Klan activity in the surrounding communities. The Consolidation Coal Company, they were very profitable, and so it would not have been tolerated should any of those outside influences come to Buxton. And in fact, John Emery Buxton had given them guns and said, you know what, you can protect, this at all costs.
And that was a business consideration.
That was a business consideration.
It was also a place where women, including black women, found opportunity too, some even holding top positions.
Some women did have side businesses. They had restaurants. There was a black woman who was the only pharmacist in Iowa at that time.
Despite its promise, Buxton wasn't built to last. When the mine splayed out, so did the town. Many residents left, only to find themselves forced back into segregation elsewhere.
They literally packed the town up. You had this freedom, you had this ability, this integrated community to do anything you want, and now you're going somewhere else. You have to now go to segregated, stores and movie theaters.
For many, this place is more than just a footnote in Iowa's coal mining past. It's proof of what can happen when equality is baked into a society's design.
When you take race and discrimination out of the equation, look what can be achieved. And it seems as though it's a very simple thing, but it's not. And in our culture, even today, it's not.
To me, that legacy it shows what happens when you give everybody equal access and you create this town where everybody has a chance to succeed and take care of their family.
Decades later, the land now belongs to families like Keegle's, who find themselves guides to a vanishing past. Visitors, though few, come from all over, hoping to reconnect with ancestors who once thrived in Buxton and called this place home.
There was a lady from Des Moines called me. Their grandparents lived here in Buxton, and they came back and they took rocks home. Until you see a 75-year-old lady on the ground with her arms around a tombstone, That's the part that gets you. That's the reason I keep doing it.
Nick Alhaj, Iowa's News Now.